Hey, yo, what up? Welcome back. This is not a podcast. It's just my thoughts with Markman. Let's get right into it. So on Friday, Game released a new project, a mixtape, a Gangsta Grillz Mixtape with DJ Drama. It's called Every Movie Needs a Trailer. I think that's a dope title, by the way. It's produced mostly by Mike and Keys. I think I saw some other production credits over there, but Mike and Keys helmed this. I think they're doing great work, period, but they're doing great work right now. Been creating a lot of stuff with Problem 2. Shout out to Problem, man, but Mike and Keys on production. So the headline that everybody had been talking about when the project came out was Game diss Kendrick. Or questioning, did Game diss Kendrick? And so I admit, before I sat with the project, I seen the headline and I said, all right, let me just go straight to the song in question. Like, what's going on? I want to hear this for myself. And then I was going to do a video. And I stopped myself and I said, nah. I said, let me listen to this whole thing just to get a feel for the whole project and where Game is at with it. And then let me come back, because I just didn't want to do like the knee-jerk reaction. If I'm being honest, I wanted to sit with it. And I had to drive yesterday. I had a long drive with me, so I listened to it on the way there, on the way back, and got a feel for it. Listened to it, last night early in the morning. So just got a feel for where Game was at with it. I'm not mad at this tape at all. I think the production is great. I think Game is a hell of a rapper. I think Game is a super dope rapper. Consistently makes some of the best hip hop projects. Like dude's consistency and level of consistency of making projects. Like Game is just dope to me. You can't deny Game talent wise. This isn't my favorite Game project, but the tape is good. So I'm gonna answer the question right off the bat, right? We got the question in the headline. I'm not gonna let it linger or wait to the end of the video. I'm gonna answer it right off the bat, and then we're gonna explain about what I feel and then the tape as a whole, right? But first, I need y'all to subscribe. All right, I need y'all to put those alerts on. I need to get these numbers up, man. I feel y'all rocking with me, so I need y'all to rock with me, man. Let's get these subscriptions up. Put those alerts on. Let's comment. Let's share. Let's hype. Let's do all of that. I love y'all, and I'm super appreciative of all of y'all support. So, did he diss Kendrick? Did Game diss Kendrick? To me, this is a strong word, but yes, I feel like Game was popping it. Game was beating his chest. Game was going for it, specifically on the track Chrome Hearts, when he says, Los Angeles King, show me a rooftop, I shot it, and y'all thought was king ain't gonna do nothing about it. And the one y'all thought was king ain't gonna do nothing about it. That's the last bar on the track, and then after is like kind of the hook bridge kind of thing where it's like, I'd rather be feared than loved. So Los Angeles King, show me a rooftop, I shot it, and the one y'all thought was king ain't gonna do nothing about it. To me, that's a reference to that. It's like a challenge. You know what I'm saying? Right now it's December 2025. Who is the king of Los Angeles? If we had to put it to a vote in the comments, who is the king of Los Angeles? Kendrick, undisputed, right? I mean, shit, arguably the king of rap right now. I know a lot of y'all like to argue in the comments and go back and forth, but Kendrick got the crown right now against rap across the board too. So Los Angeles King shot it from the rooftop, or from show me a rooftop, I shot it, and the one y'all thought was king ain't gonna do nothing about it. I think when you're penning that, you're thinking about that. You have Kendrick Lamar, your eyes set right there, right? So we established that. I do think it is aimed at Kendrick. I don't think it is that big of a deal. And I'll tell you why. As a rapper, first of all, you're supposed to feel like you're the best, and the Game is up there. We established that already. The other part is Game is gonna talk his shit. You know that he is purposely gonna say or do something to like toe the line, right? He's a habitual line stepper. If you used to watch the Chappelle show, he's a king of controversy. So I don't really take this seriously. This is just Game being Game. Like I don't know how serious I take it. Like, oh my God, there's a beef brewing. Like, it's a rapper thinking he's the best. Game just popping his shit. And, does Kendrick take the bait? Is it that serious? And this start a whole back and forth? I don't know. I don't think it's that serious. I don't think it's worth necessarily response. I think it's game fishing, right? He also recently did an interview with Big Boy in the Morning and said he wanted to sign Kendrick in the early days, in the very, very early days. It's been documented that Game was around, and him and Top had always been super cool. And, J-Rock going on tour with Game, Kendrick being J-Rock's hype man at the time, like, was all in the mix. So Game had said in the interview with Big Boy that he wanted to sign Kendrick, even though Kendrick was with TDE. Two T's from the TDE camp, who also used to be down with Game. I think he was like the head of Game security, if I'm not mistaken. Please don't quote me. But T said it wasn't true. T said that Game wasn't trying to sign Kendrick like the way he was represented it in that interview. So there's that. So it seems like Game is using Dot as a talking point in this run, and he's referenced him quite a few times on this mixtape. The other thing in question, which a lot of people bring up, is Game's relationship with Drake. And Game has consistently said, hey, Drake is the homie, you know what I'm saying? And been pretty consistent about that, right? So his relationship with Drake, obviously Drake versus Kendrick, and how that plays into it. Game not being at the Pop Out concert, you remember last Juneteenth? Game not being there, and then there's the speculation of, since he's from Compton and since they have a history together, that he should be Team Kendrick because of their history instead of Team Drake for whatever that is. But Game had been vocal about, hey, Drake is my guy. So there's a ton of speculation around those type of things as what's going on between Game and Kendrick. Are they cool? It's just speculation, and it has been, right? I just don't think it's that serious for Game. Like, I don't think Game takes it that seriously. And, I think he's poking the bear a little bit. So I don't know that we should take it that seriously or take it for more than what it is. Game is going to do what he feels works best for Game, right? And when it's project time, he's going to talk some shit. And he's going to do something to get headlines. And sometimes he may also contradict that and confuse the hell out of us. And then, he'll drop some solid music. I also know this is a setup. I think he's also teasing the documentary 3 on the way. So that's what I think it is, right? That's not what I know. That's what I think it is. That's what I gather. I also don't think him and Dot have beef. I don't think they're super cool hanging out either. I think it's nothing. I think they run into each other maybe very few and far between. I don't think it's a beef, but I don't think they're like super cool hanging out and buddy. I think there's a mutual respect. I think Kendrick, because when he was young, Game was the guy on the West Coast. He was representing for LA, absolutely. Documentary, when you're growing up as a fan and dreaming, hey, I want to be Game was the guy that you looked up to, especially if you came from the West Coast. But Game's music was hitting all over. Like, we fucked with the documentary in New York. I'm sure they fucked with it in the South. I mean, he sold 5 times platinum. So Game was a big artist. So Game was the guy. And then Kendrick got to work with him early in his career, be it the city, be it doing shows, be it, whatever. So I think there's a respect that Kendrick has for Game, to a limit. And, really, 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 if you cross a certain line, then maybe the respect is lost. But I think there's like a respect for who Game is and what Game has done. And then I think Game has to respect Kendrick for what he's built, from how he went to the up and coming guy, the one that everybody saw promise in, and then each year just kept building brick by brick to where he is now. There has to be a respect for that. But at the end of the day, I think it is just that Game is never going to stop being Game. We've seen this before. He dissed Jay. He dissed Eminem. Of course, he's dissed 50 Cent, Meek Mill, Rick Ross. Like, there's been other beefs. The G Unit beef was more personal because he was down with them. So there was a reason beyond rap for that. There was a real beef. I guess Meek, they had words back and forth. There was an issue. But take like Game going at Jay or Game going at Eminem. I think that's just Game in the past aiming at somebody in a higher position than him, the competitive side of Game, aiming at somebody in a higher position than him at the top of the game and seeing if he could like stoke a back and forth because controversy sells, beef sells. So man, if I'm gonna shoot at M and then I get M to respond to me, oh, now we got something going back and forth. Like, yo, we could sell some records, we can get some attention, whatever. And I think that's kind of what Game does. I think that's competitive. I think on one side is being competitive, and not necessarily a beef. But I think Game takes that competitiveness to another limit because he has the shock value on it. He adds, you know what I'm saying? But that's just Game. Again, if you know Game, if you've been a fan of Game, we've seen this before. I think the Kendrick stuff is more on the line of that. I think it's more the line when Game starts shooting at M or again, just trying to poke the bear, Jay-Z, and less of what Game's issue was with 50 Cent. You know what I'm saying? Which, you know, what was a real thing at the time. Hence why I don't think it's like that serious, and hence why I don't know that Kendrick will really pay this much attention. He might, though. You know, we know Kendrick be petty, and hey, if I heard something, I'm not going to leave it unanswered. He might throw a sub back. He's not above it. I'm not saying that, but I don't know if this becomes like serious, like a real back and forth battle. At least not at this point. But that's just what I think. That's not what I know. That's what I think. These are just my thoughts. But like I said, Game references Kendrick a couple of times on this tape. On Caviar and Cartier, he raps, Max B is free as a wave. And for a limited time only, these bars is freer than Dave standing next to Dot when the concerts stop. Like me standing next to Pop. There's too many names dropped. That's too many name drops. That is something he gets criticized for. He knows it. So standing next to Dot when the concert stopped, like me standing next to Pop, that's too many name drops. But I wouldn't be me if I didn't drop a few, like her, like him, like them, like you. All right, so Kendrick reference, right? That's track 2. On Can I, track 3, he says, can I pray for y'all? Do it one time for my granny. Can y'all pray for me that my next album win a Grammy? Can I cheer for Dot? Cause I knew one day he'd be great. Keep it 100. Tell y'all I still fuck with Drake. And then, you know, the 100 song was the one that he had with Drake. So it's a little back and forth. So he's telling us, he's answering the speculation that we have, right? Can I cheer for Doc because I knew one day he would be great, and keep it 100 and tell y'all I still fuck with Drake. Another Kendrick reference, right? On America's Nightmare, the next song, he says, I'm West Side connected. This Compton, proceed with caution. Fuck, I look like ducking smoke. I'm already halfway in the coffin. So what's a Grammy out here spinning jets? What's a Grammy to it out here spinning jets? And what's an internet troll to who grew up without the internet? But I will log you off it, keep sending threats, put 12 dots on you, and park you like that GNX. Using GNX as, you know, put 12 dots on you, Kendrick, K dot, and park you like the GNX. He's just, I don't think this is a diss to Kendrick. He is just using Kendrick and GNX in a metaphor. But, you know, the name drops, right? It's the constant like references to it. By the way, on America's Nightmare, I love the KRS sample on it. You think very deeply. Like, I'm a big fan of how they flip that. But it's not really a diss here. It's just a lot of dot references. That's 4 songs in a row where they're dot references. There's Cartier and Caviar, Can I, Chrome Hearts, and America's Nightmare all come in succession into this. Kendrick references on all 4 songs, like right off the bat, right? I think Chrome Hearts was kind of the challenge, the competitive challenge. Everything else just felt like a reference. You know what I'm saying? Then there's the song Left Out, where Game kind of raps in like Kendrick's drunken style. Kind of reminds me of You from To Pimp a Butterfly. It's not necessarily the same flow or cadence, but just what Kendrick kind of, excuse me, does with his voice. Game does a similar thing here, like it's reminiscent of that. And the song's called Left Out. And Game doesn't mention the pop out, but is this song a response to the public saying and noticing that Game wasn't at the pop out, that he was quote unquote left out? I don't know. Only Game can say what he meant, right? But this is a Game thing to do. Like, you kind of just let people speculate, and you live off the curiosity, off the shock value of it, right? Off the talk of it, and you kind of just let it linger. I think there was something strategic here. I think, hey, if I do this is a song that people will talk about. I'm addressing what people say, that I was left out of something, and I'm gonna use a style reminiscent to Kendrick. I don't necessarily think that's a coincidence, but I think that's strategic to get you to listen to my album, to put the shock value on the album to get people to listen. Again, a very game thing to do. Again, with the Chrome Hearts, I do think he was popping it and beating his chest, but not going all the way with it. It don't seem real. Outside of that, right? If you like game, I think you'll like this project. There's controversy, there's commentary, there's shock value. There's all of that, but there's lyrics and there's dope beats. He has a good ear for beats. Game knows what he sounds good over. And like I said, Mike and Keys did a phenomenal job, and his pen is working. There's concepts, like I said, there's shock value stuff too. But the assassination of Candace Owens is a song, and you saw Candace Owens talking about it. It was on TMZ. I think that was a little bit of promotion meant to be shocking. There's a song called Head of State where Game imagines if he's the president for 24 hours, what he would do. Is kind of like Mace's, it kind of reminded me of Mace's 24 Hours to Live. And then it's the concept of you just theorize, what would you do with your last 24? This time, Game is theorizing what he would do if he was president for a day. You know, a little in the vein of If I Rule the World, something like that. The Coast Guard is just him on his West Coast shit, telling his story and his come up and rap. I like Good Enough with the Stephanie Mills sample in it. Just something about that sample that I love. I really like the beat more than I like the raps though. Like I got really excited when I heard like that flip. Mike and Keys did that flip, the Stephanie Mills sample. But Good Enough is cool. Like I said, I really like the beat. On Scheme, he got OT Genesis and they redid Dog Pound, New York, New York. I thought that was hard. You know, obviously, Drama's talking his shit at the beginning of the record, talking about kicking over the buildings and shit like that. The New York in me didn't love that part, but shit, even when Dog Pound dropped New York, New York, it was like, man, oh, this a hard joint. And I always laugh at that joint, like, they wasn't really dissing New York in the joint. It was just the video that made it look bad. Again, when Snoop was just kicking the buildings over, and then everything that had happened post Source Awards, and there was just a bunch of shit going on behind the scenes. It made it look bad. But New York, New York was a dope record. So they Scheme is the name of the record, and they redid Dog Pound, New York, New York. I think that's dope. Good tape overall. If you're a Game fan, I think you'll like it, but you know, it's not going to change your mind if you're not a Game fan. If you wasn't fucking with Game, it's not going to change. The things that people complain about or detract with Game, like a lot of the name drops, a lot of the controversy, the shock value is present here. But it's good raps and it's dope beats. So, you know, to me, this is just Game being Game. But those are just my thoughts. Hit me in the comments. Let me know what you think. Let's talk about it. And until the next one, man, we're going to talk a lot more this week. All right? Peace.